In those with serious mental illness, the chance of having a chronic disease otherwise is very high, like diabetes, hypertension, this thing called metabolic syndrome, which is like obesity, hypertension, high lipids, and diabetes all combined. Lung disease, liver disease, heart disease, infectious disease, and dental disease. 70% of people with serious mental illness have one of those. Much higher rates than the general population. For instance, 7% of people in general have diabetes. And 45% have 2, and 30% have greater than 3. So what does that mean? That means you die. You die 25 years too early if you have serious mental illness. In general, this is not counting the people in the homeless shelter only. This is housed and not housed. 25 years too early. You don't die of hearing voices. You die of heart disease. And I think one of the products of our segregated, siloed system that we're running is that the segregation, the separation of health care has led to people being stigmatized, being discriminated against, not feeling welcomed at either side of that street, and leads to death. And it's heart disease. It's heart disease for the rest of us too, by the way, but it's 80. Serious mental illness also leads to poor self-care, difficult household management, not trusting those who say they're there to help, inability to form and maintain stable relationships, misinterpreting others, irrational actions, pushing away help that's needed. I could also probably say trauma leads to most of that too. Trauma, serious mental illness, substance abuse, and chronic medical conditions, that's what we see. That's all connected. Very rare that I don't see trauma. Matter of fact, is that your case, Mike? Everybody agree with that? All right. So in California, if you have serious mental illness, you got a 15% chance of being homeless in a 1-year period. So I had this teacher in residency, and he was from West Virginia. So I get to put on a Southern accent, West Virginia Southern accent, because he used to say, "Trip, it's like they're augering in." I never understood what he was saying. Finally, I got it, and it's like an auger. If you have serious mental illness and you're on the street and you're going down, and it's so hard to get out, so hard to get out. And at the same time, your brain may be telling you not to trust anybody who says they're there to help. Maybe telling you that what they're offering is poison. And that message would be just like the sky is blue for me and you. So it's hard to break through. Having a home is first, but then I think Nancy said this earlier today too. We do need treatment and services wrapped around that. Have to have that too. And I thought that 90% stat, was it 90% in 2 years we're still in the home? That's really, is that amazing? We have to do that, you know. I think that's much better than the national stat. You did say it was, did you say 60? 70. We're good people here. We can pull this off. That's impressive. Okay, substance abuse is both a cause and result. And I know my friends in the clinic would want me to tell you that it really hurts them when people attribute substance abuse as the cause of homelessness. We had an article in the Bangor Daily News in December where the front page was devoted to homelessness, which was all a good thing. But the picture was of a person passed out beside a Popov vodka bottle. Popov vodka is really cheap. I remember that. I don't know how. Something to do with college, but I knew the bottle instantly. That's Popov vodka. So, passed out over a tree. Did anybody see that picture? Yeah. Disturbed me, frankly. So that's not really the story. That's not really the message I would like to get out. And boy, did the people I work with, they were pissed off, really pissed off. They're still working on a response. Their anger is not really quieted down enough to get a good response yet, but they're still working on it, and will respond, I'm sure. But so we got to mention that this is not all the story, right? So without stable housing, the chance of quitting is very little. I know we have this place in Bangor called the Pines. It's a wooded area where people camp and drink, and I'm fairly certain if I was homeless and had nothing to do every day, couldn't find work, could try hard and not find work, my guess is I might be in the Pines myself. I bet a lot of us would. And if you ventured into the Pines, my guess is most of us would drink. It's really hard to avoid. So it's a cause and a result. And you've got to have housing to help it. So what gets in the way? Lack of knowledge about where to go get treated is part of it. Lack of access to transportation is part of it. Lack of identification, certainly part of it. Embarrassment, big part of it. Nervousness about forms and questions, cost, all part of it. But I think lost trust is probably the number one thing. Now in Bangor, we have a large federally qualified health center, and we have to see people who can't pay. We have no choice. We're very nice people, but we have to. That's how we get a federal grant to have a federally qualified health center. So people who are homeless could have been seen a decade ago. They weren't being seen until we reached out and tried to meet people where they are, built a clinic close by, and had the right attitude, I think. Why would you lose trust? Lose trust secondary to brain injuries, secondary to things like schizophrenia. Lose trust secondary to past trauma, discrimination, and uninformed society, I think. There's probably other reasons. So here's our answer. Here's what we did. And the bottom line is we try to meet people where they are, where they're most comfortable. I grew up in a small Appalachian mountain town in North Carolina, and in that town, family doctors were well respected and trusted by everybody no matter what. I think that's probably a little less so today, but still, amongst healthcare providers, I still think they're probably... Please turn your cell phones off, Jody. I still think that they hold a higher level of respect than most other healthcare providers, and people want their primary care needs met. My people with schizophrenia, I may not be able to get them to take a medicine for their voices, but they still want their sugars treated. They do. They still worried about their high blood pressure. That's what people are most worried about. They still worry if they have a rash or a cough they can't get rid of or their nose is running. They won't help. If they have a sore knee, they'll take that help. That's what they ask for. That's what they want. So we start with primary care. And we have wonderful primary care doctors that can establish relationships and trust. It's easier for them, partly because they're not psychiatrists. Not part of the system, really, that have maybe led to shackling and going to the ER and being held down and getting a shot, which was probably nothing else could have been done, but still the perception is that that was not nice, taking away my rights and maybe even poison. So we start with primary care and then work out from there. Establish trust is our goal. Anybody heard of this patient-centered medical home stuff? It's the latest buzzword stuff. That's what I was taught, 1989 to 93. I was in med school. Almost the same stuff, pushed by a different direction this time. Some different words. It's good stuff. We didn't really create a clinic to be known as a patient-centered medical home. But we were the first one in the country to achieve level 3 with this, which honestly is not that important to me. It's real important to my boss. And I have to say it, he told me, so I'm saying it. But it's not really our reward. We were very lucky to be there to watch people change their lives. And that's what we get our rewards from.